Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to discuss about difference between change notifier provider and provider in the Flutter. In the Flutter, both change notifier provider and provider are a part of the provider package, which are used for the state management. They serve different purpose and are used in different scenario based on the type of the state being managed and how it need to be accessed. Provider purpose provider is a generic class that helps provide an instance of value and its dependencies. It typically used to provide immutable data or object that do not need to be notify listener about the changes. User scenario: use the provider when you need to provide a simple value, configuration setting, or a service instance that do not does not change over time and does not need notify the UI about the changes. For example, so this is the configuration that I have created, and this will be the main function. This is the provider. This is the model that I have created, as you can see. And inside our main app, here I'm going to use that data using the provider dot of. As you can see, there is no any change or notify provider since the configuration will still remain at the same and it will not notify any other UI element that the state has been updated. For example, like you need to call all of the UI that state has been updated. You are going to use the change notifier provider, provide an instance of a change notifier subclass to its descendant. It is used to provide a class that extends change notify which notify all the listener about the changes in the state. Okay, so let me show you this simple example. As you can see, I have created the counter notify, which is extend from the change notifier subclass. Is over here I have created the private variable count. This is the getter function, and this is the method that I have created for increment. Here I am using the notifier listener, which will tell all of the state that change or state has been updated. Inside our main function, you are going to use the change notifier provider, and over here you are going to use this syntax where you are going to pass the counter notify, which is the model. And let's see how we are going to use this, or we can access that data. In the counter screen, you are going to choose the provider dot off with the model that you have created, counter notifier. And how we are going to use that thing? You are simply going to use the count notifier, and over here you get the variable and the data. And remember this is the same thing you have created above inside your model. So this is how a provider and change notifier work together. So in a summary, provider used for providing immutable data or object that do not need to notify listeners. I default simple values configuration setting or services. Does not invoke state changes or notifying listeners. Change notifier provider used for providing a change notifier subclass that can notify listener about the state changes. Idle for stateful object where changes in state need trigger UI updates and involves state changes and notify listeners. Choosing between provider and notify change notify provider depends on the whether the provided data needs notify UI about the changes or not. So this is the simple example between the provider and the change notify provider. And as you can see, provider used for static immutable data and change notify used for dynamic and changeable state. Okay, so that's all for the video. In the next video, we are going to discuss about this topic: how do you create a simple change notify class. So stay tuned for this video.